What would you do if falling in love meant losing your family, your friends, and even your country? Would you walk away, or would you fight the world just to hold on to the one you love? This is the true story of a love so powerful it shook governments, defied traditions, and changed the history of a nation. The love between Seretz Karma, an African prince, and Ruth Williams, an Englishwoman who gave up everything for the man she loved. It was London, 1947. The city was still healing from the scars of war. Streets were busy, the air filled with the hum of jazz music, and in one of those bustling dance halls destiny was waiting. Ruth Williams, a 24-year-old office clerk, walked in that night with her sister. She had no idea her life was about to change forever. As the music played, her eyes fell on a tall, handsome man across the room. The gaze locked. He smiled. She smiled back. His name was Seretz Karma. He wasn't just any man, he was a prince from Bechuanaland, a land far away in Africa. But in that moment, it wasn't about titles or race, it was just two souls drawn together like magnets. They danced, they talked, and before the night was over, something had begun, something neither of them could deny. Days turned into weeks. Ruth and Seretz met in cafes, walked through London streets, and shared secrets under the evening sky. She loved his warmth, his intelligence, and his courage. He loved her kindness, her laughter, and the way she saw him not as a prince, but as a man. But there was one thing they could not ignore. Ruth was white, Seretz was black. In 1940s Britain, and in a world still chained by racism, their love was considered dangerous. When Ruth finally told her father about Seretz, his reaction was cold and furious. "You will not marry this man," he shouted. "If you do, you are no longer my daughter." For a moment, Ruth's heart broke. The choice was clear: her family or the man she loved. But Ruth had already made her decision. She looked at Seretz and whispered, "I don't care what they say. I want you." But their love wasn't only opposed by her family. The British government, bowing to pressure from apartheid South Africa, declared their marriage unacceptable. Newspapers spread scandal. Politicians spoke out. Even Seretz's own tribe questioned him. "How can our prince marry a foreign woman?" Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give me a thumb up, it encourages me to create more for you. The world was against them, and yet they stood firm. Seretz spoke with unshakable conviction. "I love Ruth. She is my wife. She is my life. I will never give her up." And so, in 1948, they married quietly, in a small London church. It was not the royal wedding anyone had imagined. There were no grand carriages or glittering jewels. Only two hearts, promising to stand together against all odds. But their trials were far from over. When they returned to Africa, Britain exiled Seretz, forcing him to live away from Ruth and the newborn baby. Imagine the pain. A young mother, alone with her child, and a husband thousands of miles away, barred from returning home. And yet, their love endured. Letters crossed oceans, filled with longing and devotion. Phone calls stretched across continents, every word a lifeline. Ruth stood strong, raising their child while the world tried to break them apart. She could have walked away. She could have chosen an easier life. But Ruth's love was fierce, unshakable. She once said, "I chose him, and I will choose him again." Every single time. Years passed, and slowly, things began to change. The people of Bechuanaland saw Ruth's loyalty, her strength, her willingness to stand beside their prince no matter the cost. And little by little, hearts softened. They began to embrace her. Finally, after years of struggle, Seretz returned home with Ruth by his side. The tides of history turned, and when Botswana became an independent nation in 1966, Seretz Karma became its first president. And there, at his side, was Ruth, no longer just an outsider, but the first lady of a nation. Together, they built Botswana into one of Africa's most stable and prosperous countries. Their love, once forbidden, had become the foundation of a new future. For more than 30 years, Ruth and Seretz shared their lives as partners, as leaders, and as soulmates. Through exile, through rejection, through every storm, their love never broke. When Seretz passed away in 1980, Ruth remained in Botswana until her death in 2002. She was buried beside him. The two of them reunited once more, side by side in eternity. So let me ask you again, what would you do if the whole world stood against your love? Would you give in or would you fight, like Ruth and Seretz, for the one your heart beats for? Because sometimes true love is not just a story. Sometimes, true love changes history. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.